2 judges reappointed to office. Portion of teachers' leave fares to be delayed. More attention needed for midwifery in PNG.
This is National EMTV News with Mary Bartolo.
Good evening. It's the start of another working week and this is Monday's news. 2 judges were sworn in for another term in office today. Judges Sir Bernard Sakora and Derek Harthshorn were present at Government House this afternoon for the formalities.
Speaker of Parliament Theo Zurenuo officiated as Acting Governor-General while the 2 judges took their oath. Chief Justice Sir Salamo Injia and Deputy Chief Justice Gibbs Salika were present to witness the occasion along with fellow judges, court staff and family members. For Justice Sir Bernard Sakora, it will be another 4 years until he reaches the retirement age of 72. For now, he is happy with the reappointment.
And I feel with respect that I have a bit more to contribute to the country and its people. And I'm greatly appreciative of the Judicial and Legal Services Commission for giving me this opportunity.
The next 3 years will bring Judge Derek Harthshorn's term in office to 12 years. The judge's reappointment were announced last month by the Judicial and Legal Services Commission, with the formal ceremonies today concluding the process of reappointment. Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
Several houses belonging to a group of people from Wain in the Nawaib district of Morbe province were destroyed following sorcery accusations. Tent City Police Station Commander Jack Sakali says the clash started on Friday. The attackers from Finchafen believe that one of the relatives was killed by witchcraft, but police have given them 21 days to sort the matter outside of court. The situation has returned to normal. Not all teachers throughout the country will receive their leave fares on time. According to the Teaching Services Commission, only 70% of the total leave fares have been remitted to provinces. The remaining 30% will be remitted once national revenue picks up and funds become available.
The drop in global commodity prices has been blamed for the cut in teachers' leave fees this year. The Teaching Service Commission says not all teachers will receive their entitlements on time. Those affected will receive these once the situation improves. The total appropriation according to the 2015 budget is over 33 million kina. Of this, 70% has been remitted to provincial treasuries, while 30% will be remitted later. According to the Teaching Service Commission, there are 52,000 teachers serving in the country. Teachers' leave fees have been a very sensitive issue, and as much as possible, the Teaching Service Commission is doing its best to address this. Chairman of the Teaching Service Commission, Baran Sori, called on all teachers to understand the current global situation and cooperate with authorities to ensure a smooth disbursement of entitlements. Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
Morobe Rural Command Inspector David Warup says the police manpower of 123 for the whole of Morbe province is not enough to tackle law and order problems. This figure is separate from the Metropolitan Command. Inspector Warup's comments follow an incident at 9 Mile where a woman was stabbed and killed recently. The woman's husband has turned himself in to the police in fear of his life. Police are yet to question the husband. In another incident, Lay's Chemical Hardware store has been closed since Saturday following a break-and-enter incident last week. Number One Super Limited has announced its partnership with B-Mobile Vodafone to offer a new smartphone deal. Chief Executive Officers of both companies highlighted this new deal at a joint conference held at the B-Mobile Vodafone head office in Waigani. This new partnership is expected to boost service delivery to all NSL members under the B-Mobile Vodafone network.
B-Mobile Vodafone and Number One Super today in a joint conference has announced the sale of their 199 kina handsets at only 99 kina per handset for all NSL members.
Often the problem is people go into a Number One Super kiosk or a venue, put in the form and then they hear nothing back, or it's a longer process.
Along with the massive discount offer, all handsets sold will come preloaded with the NSL mobile application and 600 kina worth of airtime. NSL members will be able to purchase smartphones on this discount upon providing their valid NSL member ID card.
It really is an opportunity for members to get a phone that's reasonably priced. It provides us NSL application capability to obtain balances, to obtain statements.
Number One Super Limited launched its smartphone application in September. The application allows members to access their NSL accounts conveniently without having to go into an NSL office. Lorraine Gabina, National MTV News.
You're with National MTV News. Biomass project working towards government approval and landowners protest PMIZ launch. Those stories and more when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. The PNG Biomass Power Project in Lae has been steadily raising its monthly production of tree seedlings in preparation for government approval. While approval has not yet been given, the company is producing an average of 45,000 seedlings a month. The project will be using trees grown in plantations in the Makam and Ramu valleys to produce power.
These young seedlings are what will become part of a solution to Lae's power outages if final approvals are given by government. PNG Biomass is a company that is pursuing a plan to grow trees in the Makam and Ramu valleys for future power generation. They've been working on the project for the last 4 years.
We'd like to at least halfway there in terms of the number of plantation development, number of areas that we planted. So far we have about 200 hectares planted in the ground. We have increased productivity in the nursery by bumping it up to producing about 40,000 seedlings per month.
The 4-month dry spell has affected operations, but it's also given PNG Biomass the opportunity to see which tree species can survive in dry conditions.
Clones, we also have identified 120 genetically superior clones that we have identified and reproducing most of those in our nurseries as well.
This clone 57 is proven to be drought resistant.
The company may be relatively new, but the principle of the technology is over 300 years old, burning wood for steam and heat, which then produces electricity. If the government gives approval for their operations, this project could reduce Lae's power outages. Scott White, National MTV News, Lae.
The situation around the Pacific Marine Industrial Zone has seen a protest over the weekend by a group of landowners at the Holy Spirit Cathedral in Madang in an attempt to get the Archbishop's attention. The PMIZ is a controversial project in Madang at the moment. It was supposed to be launched today but deferred to tomorrow because the Prime Minister is yet to arrive in Madang Province.
The church service was on at the Holy Spirit Cathedral when the protesters approached and sat in line on the grass at the back of the church building. They had banners and placards, which according to them expresses their queries about the transaction of their land by the church to the government that will now see the PMIZ project operate on. The church service ended and worshippers gathered around, and after reading the banners, they were not happy. It was a protest, but it was rather a silent demonstration. No one spoke or reacted until the Archbishop came forward and calmly asked one of the protesters' leaders to speak with him in a different space.
Okay, so let's go over somewhere where we can talk.
We can just talk.
They're having celebration. No, we have to go somewhere else so that our mass is not disrupted. No, we go together. All the people come with me and we'll go over there.
Okay. It is understood that among the protesters is the chairman of the Madang's People's Forum group and a Lutheran church pastor.
Heavy only got loan approach, and that process lo look lo start backside loan la. Bring him only come lo all can swim is like heavy blow on lo leader blow out. Pasal siya sigat biglang walk lo hari mo cry lo nama through only right or wrong so lo kind sa kind time only need him sets lo lo stabak side lo na tok lo help him na luksa lo.
The launching of the project has been deferred to the 24th, which is tomorrow, and according to the program, there will be a reconciliation ceremony between the landowners, leaders, and the government. Rachel Shise, National EMTV News, Madang.
The PNG Fire Service is yet to receive a sum of 1.5 million kina promised by the government for the department's review. The review, which is aimed to look into the proposed restructure of the fire department, will be put on hold until funds are made available. This is a growing concern with the fire department as there is a need to improve fire services around the country.
In light of the recent fire at Malaro, Port Moresby, the fire department again admits it is at a disadvantage in combating fires and keeping the community safe. This is due to the lack of funds needed for its operations. Chief Fire Officer Isaac Silas said the major fires that have happened over the past 12 months around the country are showing the need to improve fire services. In 2014, the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister both made public statements on the need to review and improve the fire department. And in 2015, NEC approved for a sum of 1.5 million kina to be released for that review. However, that has not happened to date. Officer Silas in a statement said the delay in funds is affecting the operations of the fire department, such as fire safety inspections and upgrading of their facilities. Last week, the Chief Fire Superintendent for NCD, Akia Koya, shared similar views during the Malaro fire, which left an estimated 10 million kina in damages.
In resource terms and the availability of support, the facilities we have, we have to take a proactive approach in writing the fire service, working with the fire service to conduct more inspections and providing the safety.
In next year's national budget, the government has allocated over 10 million kina for fire brigade operations, which is less from the 14 million kina allocated this year. This has raised more concerns within the fire department, and the wait for the 1.5 million kina review leaves the fire service in a situation that is not fit to combat fires in the country. Stanley Over Jr., National EMTV News.
The management of Air Niugini says the national airline company will continue to meet its demands as the aviation business within the country grows. On Saturday, port managers from the NGI region gathered in a workshop to strategize for the coming business year. The Air Niugini management said they want to improve their customer services in this competitive aviation market in PNG.
This small but significant workshop on Saturday brought together Air Niugini's port managers from the New Guinea Islands region. At the end of every year, the managers gathered with their top management in their respective regions to evaluate their successes and failures and to discuss possible solutions for the company in the aviation business in Papua New Guinea. Air Niugini's General Manager for Ground Operations, Marco McConnell, said they are working on new plans not only to increase their profit but also to improve their customer services.
Customer services is basically exceeding the expectations of our customers. So in order to exceed the expectation, one is on-time performance. That's a key factor in on customer service is on-time performance.
In recent years, the inclusion of more airline companies opening up in the aviation business has prompted the national airline company to come up with new business strategies.
We must ensure we have a balance where we achieve our goals, but at the same time it's balanced with safety. So if we are going to have a sense of urgency, that sense of urgency is achieved in the safest way.
On Friday last week, the Air Niugini management awarded Tokoa and Oskins Airport for their on-time performance in the Category A of airports in the country. Mr. McConnell said this is one of the recent steps taken to encourage and improve performances in its customer services.
We need to instill some kind of competition and some kind of reward system to motivate the team in order to strive for the highest possible results.
The Air Niugini management meanwhile says they want to make sure that the company provides adequate services to meet their customer demands in this competitive aviation market. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
And now a look at the finance news. The kina closed 15 points lower at $0.3375 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3300 $0.4529 Australian dollars, €0.3067 and 40.22 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee, cocoa and copra closed the day higher. Palm oil and copper closed lower, while crude oil closed the day higher. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed at 91 points lower, the ASX closed at 4 points higher, the All Ordinaries closed at 3 points higher. Here with Monday's news, Pacific Meet in Port Moresby discusses more women's participation in Parliament. That and more local news after the break. Welcome back to the news. Papua New Guinea is hosting the Pacific Regional Conference on strengthening women's participation in parliaments. The three-day conference began today in Port Moresby and it aims to increase the number of women in politics, including other leadership roles. Fabian Hakalitz has more.
13 Pacific Island countries came together in Papua New Guinea to discuss ways to increase women's political participation under the temporary special measures. This is because Pacific Island legislatures has recorded the lowest number of women in parliament.
Why is it that only 5% though, or less, happen to be in parliament? So we are not using the full talent pool that we have of our people to be representing us in parliaments. And the more that parliaments really represent their people, the better the decision making will be, the better the policy making will be, and the better outcomes we will get for the whole of society. So that's the argument.
Samoa has proven to be implementing the temporary special measures that gives provision to women's voices, a piece of legislation the Samoan government is supporting. Justice and Courts Administration Minister Fiame Naui Matafa says,
special measures is a call for action to respond to this whole issue of low representation in our parliaments by women. And of course the point being is the utilization of the human resource.
The objective of this conference is agreeing on key approaches for women's participation and leadership. Fabian Haklitz, National EMTV News.
The oil palm-rich province of West New Britain has seen more local farmers and youth in communities make use of the opportunity given to them by the government through the oil palm production initiative within the province. With youth already into oil palm production, Numundo Oil Palm Plantation also runs a butchery which helps in alleviating the unemployment rate in Kimbe. Our reporter Godwin Eki with this story.
The oil palm province of Kimbe for years has kept the local residents busy, including the youths from the communities with the New Britain oil palm as well as Numundo oil palm, providing huge employment opportunities. Today, many youths in the area are focused on finding means and ways to make a living, turning back to the oil palm production in the province that was for years organized by the government. 22-year-old Densut Kundit says oil palm production in the province has helped him to make a living, as he makes his income from it.
So, kano se mi plasa na now mi pla ko betim prutrak now lo kama pim. Prutrak kama pim now. Mi pla luki mamas wait long now. Mi pla sabe se mamas ba mi pla sim lo. Next week na about sem people man now no ga tempot nightly. Sem tasol work man.
Meanwhile, Numundo Oil Palm provides employment for the villagers as well as providing housing for its working staff. Numundo Oil Palm also runs a butcher facilities where cows are processed for meat, also giving more of Kimbe's residents employment, as well as providing locally made fresh produce. Norman Basil, a father of three, has worked as a butcher for the last 10 years, saying working as a butcher he has been able to support his family.
Processing area blow the fuel company. So we play work long here, we play enjoy work we play. So some we play living to all locals long here, low employment.
Numundo beef here in Kimbe provides a huge opportunity for locals to be engaged into certain areas in employment. Godmineki, National EMTV News, Kimbe.
Kairukuhiri MP Peter Isoaimo is concerned about the severity of Tolokuma mine tailings discharge into the Apainapi River. This follows recent medical reports confirming the possibility of mine tailings within these rivers. He urged the developer and concerned government departments to take a bold stand in addressing this issue. Eric Haurupma was at Apainapi River to speak to the local MP and files this report.
This is Apainapi River, the main lifeline for the people of West Meko villages of Imbonga, Gangaifua and Inawani villages of Kairikuiri district of Central Province. For the past 30 years, this river has been contaminated by the tailings from the Tolokuma mine. And for 25 years, the color of the river was a cloudy white milky color. Now the Apainapi River has gone back to its early stage like 50 years ago, with crystal clear running water and visibly seen pebbles on the river bed. It was only after the temporary closure of the Tolokuma mine early this year.
Room for negotiation, but we need to satisfy these people.
When the mine resumed operations in 1995, the people began to experience the impacts of the mine, which were causing major destruction to the environment. Locals in the area have been affected by the continuous flooding, with homes and food gardens destroyed, animals killed, and local people developing new diseases which were previously unknown in the area.
Operations of the Tolokuma mine upstream in Goilala district, which we blame for much of the destruction.
A medical report compiled by Dr. Stephen Katapo and Dr. Alan Tingay of Oxfam Australia confirmed particles of chemical waste found in human blood streams.
Reports have also shown that you have people dying of diseases which are unknown.
Isoaimo said the situation may be similar to the Minamata incident in Japan, which led to the closure of the mine in 1953 after medical reports confirmed people of developing mercury diseases. Aimo says it would be a clear act of genocide if the medical report proves that people have developed diseases from using the river.
Environmental department really has to come and test out the water to confirm reports already put out by qualified medical doctors.
Mekeo villager George Mano says the rainy season now brings with it flood hazards.
Man to the operators and the minister responsible is that we're dealing with human lives.
They're calling on the government, especially the Environment Department, to confirm reports put up by these medical experts to tell people if the river is safe for drinking. Eric Arupman, National EMTV News.
Recent statistics on maternal mortality rates across the nation have reflected the need for more attention to midwifery in PNG. Demographic health surveys conducted every 10 years have shown a dramatic increase in maternal mortality rates. Melisi Goviro reports.
According to Technical Advisor for Maternity Health in PNG, Dr. Lahui Geita, demographic health surveys conducted in 2006 revealed that 733 out of 100,000 women in the country died during childbirth. Surveys conducted 10 years earlier stood at around 300 out of 100,000 women, an increase in mortality rates.
Ratio, and so we are encouraging the midwives when they go out to do their jobs. They are aiming to reduce both maternal and neonatal, perinatal deaths in PNG.
Speakers from all spectrums of maternal, newborn, sexual and reproductive health in PNG gathered at today's first midwifery symposium to address the high level of maternal mortality rates and develop solutions. Dr. Rufina Latu, technical officer at the World Health Organization, said there was a need for parliamentarians to communicate with the health sector to improve the midwifery agenda in PNG. She said midwives were trained, but there was only so much they could do to improve maternal services when they weren't properly equipped to tackle complications or simple deliveries at most health centers.
It is beyond our work. It is beyond our skills and power to save every newborn and save every maternal death.
She also said that at present, there wasn't enough midwives to serve the growing population of PNG. There were instances where midwives in rural areas especially worked alone because they were the only trained midwives in their health centers. When availability of midwives wasn't a problem, there was a lack of resources, such as basic delivery safety kits. According to Jennifer Piakalia, acting president of PNG Midwifery Society, the current midwifery training facilities could not cater for the anticipated number of midwives needed nationwide.
We have established 5 midwifery schools in the country, which have trained almost over 600 as I'm speaking. But that's not enough. We need millions or thousands because our population is...
The society was encouraged to use tools of advocacy to engage political commitment in order to create an avenue to build the society. Maternity rates are expected to continue rising if the government doesn't cooperate with the Midwifery Society to improve service quality, staff quantity, and resource availability. Melissa Goviro, National EMTV News.
You're with National EMTV News. We have all the results from the Telecom National Soccer League and Rugby League coming up in Trukai Sports. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Round 1 of the Telecom National Soccer League ended over the weekend with 24 goals scored across all 6 matches. With matches played at both the Sir Ignatius Kilaga Stadium in Lae and the Bisini Complex in Port Moresby, results were varied.
No surprises in the Northern Conference, with the match between Lae City Dwellers and Goroka Gosiha. 7 goals were scored, and Nigel Dabinyaba topping the goal-scoring charts with 4 of his own. While Grismorbe FC had to fight out a hard victory over a feisty Admiralty side, the single goal in the match the only difference. Down in Port Moresby, Huawei PS United had to hold out against early dominance by FC Port Moresby, and with the send-off of Charles Lepani a turning point in their 3-2 victory.
So opportunities to goals, and I think we just made some simple blunders, mistakes, and they took their chances and they scored those goals, and we just had to work hard to get back those the equalizer and the winning goal. We not just know we would get the wins. We just had to be patient and focus on what we've been working all through the last 2 months.
According to what we wanted, unfortunately, the result didn't come away. But small things that, little instructions that we told them to do, they sort of didn't actually, so that's where, we cost it again. But, we're happy with the boys. The game that they put on today was good, but unfortunately, the result didn't come out.
Hekari had been expected to win their opening encounter, although few could bank on defender Korak Upaiga scoring a brace to see the Oli contenders beat Kigira Laitepo by 4-2. In the final match between PKA Rapatona and Erama FC, Tawini made a comeback with a silky goal, but replies by Patrick Isa and Patterson Elijah ensured the young Rapatona side also secured a win. Lae will again host all 3 northern matches as all teams regroup from that first round. Jeremy Mogi, National EMTV Sports.
Still on the NSL, Lae City Dwellers hammered new Telecom NSL comers Goroka Gosiha 7-0 over the weekend at home ground Sir Ignatius Kilaga Stadium. The Dwellers gave Lae soccer fans a real treat with 2 goals in the first half and 5 unanswered goals in the second. Bethany Herman with the highlights.
In the first 10 minutes, Lae City Dwellers and Goroka Gosiha opened the match with exchanges in the midfield and forwards. Both teams equally matched in the attack. Nigel Dabinyaba's presence in front proved menacing for the Goroka defenders. Dabinyaba opened the scoring when he pushed a Raymond Gunamba left wing cross into the back of the net, past Gosiha goalkeeper Asa. Dabinyaba later added 1 more midway through the first half with a scintillating low-range strike past Gosiha goalkeeper Twayang Asa after a through pass from Greg Gunamba. Lay City dwellers Raymond Gunemba was outstanding in the first half, maintaining a central midfield presence and directing traffic. Much of the first half was played on the Goroka Goshia territory, keeping Goshia goalkeeper Twayang Asa busy. Halftime score, Lay City dwellers led Goroka Goshia 2-0. In the second half, 20 minutes into the game, a break by Obat Bika. The striker slotted home a goal after maneuvering past Goshia goalkeeper. Less than a minute later, Obat Bika found himself in the box again after a pass from Koropol Albert. Bika made no mistake, putting the ball past Asa, again into the back of the net for the dwellers' fourth goal. Deep into the second half, frustration took its toll. Goshia striker Derek Nakabana was shown a yellow card for a challenge on Jeffet Tiampo. Another goal in the last 10 minutes by Matthew David from a Koropol Albert right-wing cross put the dwellers 5-0 ahead of the new boys from Goroka. Nigel Dabinyaba again broke away in the last 5 minutes to grab one more goal, giving him a hat-trick and pulling the Lay City dwellers up by 6-0. He pulled another goal in the dying minutes to humiliate the newcomers and take the goal tally to 7-0. Full-time score, Lay City dwellers win by 7 points. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV Sports, Lay.
To Rugby League now, in the Port Moresby Rugby League final between Brothers and Royals went right down to the wire. The Royals claiming the 2015 Port Moresby Rugby League Shield 26 points to 16. They also took out the Shield in the women's division, defeating PNG Port South's 14 points to 12 at the Murray Barracks Oval in Port Moresby.
A packed Murray Barracks saw the Brothers and Royals battle to be named champions of the 2015 PRL season. From the kickoff, both teams were evenly matched, with both sides working the ball up and down the field, eager to draw first blood. It was tit for tat in the opening half of the contest as Brothers scored first, only for Royals to reply just minutes later. That set the momentum for the rest of the half, with both sides not prepared to give in. The second half began shaky for both sides, forcing turnovers from dropped balls, struggling to maintain possession of the football. But in the end, the Royals hung on to be crowned 2015 champions with a 26-16 victory. Dion Kombeng, National EMTV Sports.
Following the announcement of the 36-man train-on squad in Port Moresby last week, the SPPNG Hunters are set to go into pre-season training camp tomorrow. Earlier, speculation of the future of former captain Israel Eliab has the word that the star player is moving to the UK. That, however, leaves the door open for newer members of the Hunters and another crack at the top prize in the Interest Super Cup. Jaylee Sapias reports.
With 19 new inclusions in the train-on squad, head coach Michael Marum says he is looking forward to working with younger players and hopes they can learn from seasoned players.
Billy Minoga is with the Black Hawks now, so, and off the bench, I think all of the coaches, everyone better room, they love him coming off that bench. But now he'll be wearing another color against us, maybe when we play them next season. But at the same time, it creates opportunity for all those younger boys coming through from Diesel Cup and Zone and local leagues there.
With the amount of raw talent the country produces, Marum believes the inclusion of youngsters to his side will be a boost to the already formidable Hunters camp. Marum is adamant they will be able to get the job done, although the fresh faces have big shoes to fill, especially with 4 departures from the squad.
Australian Prime Minister studying Justin Ola. He's one of those young kids that come through. Unfortunately, we were going to put in some players from from Rugby Union as well. So, but now that strict requirements by PNG Rugby League registration, so those players will have to go through local leagues and register and make their way through. So yeah.
There is no word yet from Israel Eliab, but as confirmed by Coach Marum, he is to leave for the UK late next month or early January. Marum said it would be difficult to replace Eliab, but is happy he will be joining the team in camp this week.
He basically wanted to go and do the practice, sign 1-year contract with the London Broncos. So if he does well there, then Super League club can just pick him up for the following season of the year.
Training for the new season is set to begin tomorrow. The Hunters rearing to go for the 2016 Inter-Super Cup season. Jaylee Sapies, National EMTV Sports.
You're watching Trukai Sports. We have sailing, nines and cricket still coming up after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The sail past over the weekend saw a good number of sailors from around the nation's capital turning out to take part in a 200-mile course race out at sea before running a half-a-kilometer race. Shane Saroya reports.
Sailing has been part of the history of the coastal dwellers in PNG, and to date it has been dormant but slowly finding its pace. And now it's the yachts that are setting sail again. The competition begins well with the course instructor explaining the race course before the sailors set sail. The sailors then set the course on a point of sail with the sway of the wind. The over 200-mile course began with the yachts lining up at the starting line, then racing down to Manubana Island, and then a swimmer from each yacht takes a dip in the open waters to swim to the shores and then run a half-kilometer race before making it back to the boat. The yachts then race back to the yacht club after almost 2 hours out at seas, and then the final leg of the race saw the runners scale the Burns Peak Hill under the scorching heat before finishing at the base. Though the sport of sailing may be relatively new in the country, given the idyllic coastal surroundings, for instance this magnificent marina at the Royal Papua Yacht Club, this sport is sure to flourish in the near future. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
The Lakwaharu Nines tournament kicked off today at Tubusera village along the Magi Highway. It is set to run for 5 days with the finals to be held on Friday. The member for Kairukuhiri was present to officially kick off the tournament.
A total of 60 teams are taking part in the tournament, all coming from the Motuan coast. The tournament's been running for 5 years since it started in 2010.
The villages came all over from Central Province, Motukoitabu, and including some of that from Shogari here. That's basically from Central Province here.
Many teams have come in strong in this year's competition. Tournament director Mickey Koni said this year's race for the top position will be difficult to predict.
Coming up from another Gaire team, Barakau. Also the home itself, Lakwaharu 1 and 2.
Kairukuhiri MP Peter Iso Aimo officially kicked off the tournament and spoke of the fewer number of Motuan players representing the country.
Announce here that we have some of the best players who are not exposed yet. Motuan coastline used to dominate the Kumuls before, you know, in the Porebaras especially. All the Kumuls that were produced were some of the best players in our Kumul side. Huh?
The tournament was sponsored by Peter Iso Aimo. He presented a check of 19,000 kina to Mickey Koni for the running of the tournament. Elijah Lavet, National EMTV Sports.
The Port Moresby Cricket Association is the largest affiliate to Cricket PNG, and the weekend saw the association enter into its 5th round of its indoor cricket competition. Judah Memafu has this report.
The Port Moresby Cricket Association has been around for quite a while and over the years has branched out to include the other formats of cricket, including T20 as well as the indoor form of the game.
Being the biggest the cricket association, we contribute a lot of our players. Most of our players are actually in the national sides, in the Barramundis, the Garamuts for the under-19s.
Under the leadership of President Dean Ani and his executives, the cricket competition here in the nation's capital is scaling new heights. The current competition sees corporate teams battling it out, with all teams placed in 2 major categories, the men's and the mixed. The men's category boasts an affiliation of over 20 teams and is broken into 2 pools.
Has been trying to get cricket as a #1 sport and the biggest game here in PNG, and not only in Port Moresby but all throughout the central nearby villages here, and getting the games out to all the provinces as well.
The competition is into its 5th round, and with finals playoff just around the corner, the heat is definitely on for the teams to qualify and make it through to the final 8. Judah Memafu, National EMTV Sports.
And that ends Trukai Sports for today. Up next, your weather details for the next 24 hours.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. First of all, in the southern region, mostly fine in Port Moresby, Kerma and Popondetta, fine and dry in Daru, and fine weather expected in Alotau. To the Momase region, mostly fine in Lae, Wau, Medang, Wewak and Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine in all major centres. And finally, in the Highlands region, mostly fine in Wabeg, Mendi, Kundiawa and Goroka, and fine with low cloud in Mount Hagen. And that has been the news, sports and weather for today, Monday the 23rd of November 2015. On behalf of the entire EMTV News crew, have a pleasant working week. Good night.